welcome to the Lee and Ian Show, starring Lee Navlin and Ian Grodman. To my left, Ian Grodman, and that's no pun intended, Ian, you being to the left, because
no, exactly.
Being the head of the Maplewood Democratic Committee, the chair of the Maplewood Democratic Committee.
That's right.
Some might say that you're a progressive outfit. Some might say that, actually...
People will say a lot of things about us.
People say a lot of things about the Maplewood Democratic Committee. But actually, Ian, I just wanted, before we got started, for those listening, this is our first podcast together.
Correct.
I was doing another podcast. That podcast is on hiatus for no other reason other than there were just some other things that Ileana had to do, some things that I'm doing. So... but in the meantime, this is going to be something that I think is a little bit more politically charged, a little more politically, what's the word I'm looking for, based.
Okay.
You and I. And I hope you're okay with that. So.
I'm absolutely fine with that.
Okay, because there are a lot of people who don't want to talk politics with Lee Navlin.
It's a big part of my life, so yeah.
It's a big part of your life.
Yeah.
So Ian, why don't we, before we go any further, why don't we get right into what the Maplewood Democratic Committee does, how long you've been involved, so forth and so on.
Okay. So the Maplewood Democratic Committee is a group of, we are elected officials in the Democratic Party. Every 2 years, people run to be district leaders in the Maplewood Democratic Committee. Our job is essentially to work to help Democratic candidates get elected. That's the main part of the job that we have. We try to work with the County Democratic Committee, the State Democratic Committee to make some improvements within the Democratic Party as well. And that's basically what our job is.
So it's not just Maplewood based, and it's also for Essex County, it's for state.
Correct.
You'll work for assemblymen and or to get them elected and right up to the governor.
Last year, we actually had many Maplewood Democratic Committee district leaders campaigning in Pennsylvania during the presidential election. So we go wherever the work is needed to help get Democrats elected.
And these are district leaders that represent different pockets of the community in Maplewood.
Correct. There are 21 districts, 21 election districts in Maplewood. There are 2 district leaders in each district. Traditionally, there was 1 man and 1 woman in each district. Actually, we in Maplewood were leaders in changing that so that you did not have to have 2 men or 2 women. You did not have to identify with any particular gender. We were leaders in kind of changing that rule to make sure that there were just 2 people working as district leaders in each election district.
So now it could be 2 men, it could be 2 women, or 2 whomever.
Right.
Basically,
there could be. We have transgender.
Right.
District leader in Maplewood. So yeah.
Excellent. And that's just a recent change. It just came with the sign of the times and
last couple of years. Yep.
Right. So. 21, you said 21 districts?
Correct.
21 districts, so that would, I'm very good at math, as you can see.
I see
here.
that.
Right, that
21
would be,
times 2.
Right, that would be 42.
There we go.
That'd
Good,
be 42.
good.
So you have 42 district leaders, and the district leaders themselves. Now, here's how you and I met, Ian. This goes back to, I think, 2010 or 2011. I think it was 2010. So I'm walking down Maplewood Avenue one day. It is a true story. And I ran across Vic DeLuca and the late, great Jerry Ryan. And they were campaigning. They were running, actually, Vic was running for re-election. And, Jerry Ryan and I had a very, what's the word I'm looking for, interesting relationship. So I had said, hey, Vic, you know what I think would be a great idea? I said something like that. And Jerry said, oh, Lee, if you're so smart, why don't you run? And he chuckled. And Vic chuckled. And I saw red, So the next day I said, that's it, I'm running. So I figured out what I had to do. I threw my hat in the ring.
Yep.
And then I was, the Maplewood Democratic Committee saw me and they saw a few other candidates.
Correct. That's what we do.
Sat down. For an interview, but it was an interview in front of all 42.
Correct.
Right, or whomever was available at the time.
Right. Yeah, most of the 42 were there.
Right. And I was not selected. Vic was selected, and India Larrier. That's the time period we're going back. They were chosen, and they both turned out to be. And Vic obviously is in my book. He's a star. He walks on water for what he's done for this community.
Probably one of the best elected officials we've ever seen in Maplewood.
Yeah, and I wasn't saying that at the time.
Right.
So at the time,
you changed your tune.
I changed my tune.
Yes.
Right. You guys were asking me questions. I remember being, you guys. I said, what kind of community service have you ever done? And I jokingly said, well, when I was 17, but it was expunged. I thought that was very funny. And the only one who laughed was you. And I think Vic might have smiled as well because he knew that I just shot myself in the foot. But ultimately, you called me a few days later to say, hey, we've discussed it, and we've decided to go in a different direction. We're Vic in India, and of course, I was like, well, I'm still going to run.
Well, and you should have.
Right, and and I'm going to beat you, and you'll see, and so you wished me absolute luck, and I actually spoke to you a few times afterwards, and I'd ask you for advice. You were very courteous, always.
I'm always happy to speak to anybody to try to help them out if they're interested in running for elected office.
And you saw I took it seriously enough.
Yeah.
But so that's how we became friends. So,
Yep.
So now the reason I get into all this is I know that the committee is now looking for candidates for I guess the June primary.
For the June primary, correct. And we've actually changed the way that we do it from the time that you came before the committee many years ago. So, there's always been a lot of talk in New Jersey about the county line, right? And the county line giving giving a leg up, to candidates who are on the county line. We in Maplewood were the first town, I believe we were the first town in the state of New Jersey. In Maplewood now, when we used to endorse candidates who were running for township committee. Now what we do is we will endorse anybody who has the approval of 40% of our committee as a Democratic Party endorsed candidate running for township committee. So, for instance, we're going to have one seat coming up this next year, the seat held by Deb Engel.
Okay.
If 10 people came to us and 40% of our committee believed that 8 of them were qualified and good candidates, we would endorse all of them. So 8 people would have the endorsement of the Maplewood Democratic Committee running for that one seat in the Democratic
So you might
primary
endorse
in June.
2 candidates for one seat.
Correct.
Oh, that's very interesting.
Yep.
Okay, so how does that work? Is you might have district leaders knocking on doors and saying, "Hey, we want you to vote for Deb Engel. Oh, hey, by the way, we want you to vote for whomever."
So it's very important to point out, and this is something we talk about a lot within the committee. District leaders, Democratic Party district leaders in a primary can support whoever they want to support. Mm-hmm. They are required to support and work on behalf of the Democratic candidate for the general election in November.
Gotcha. Understood. Okay, so during the primary, things could be a little bit different.
Absolutely.
Obviously.
We have 42 district leaders. We could have people supporting 42 different people running for township committee.
And that goes right up, obviously, to you might say, hey, we really wanted Harris, but I'm just coming up Harris. There was no primary, but I'm Bernie Sanders. I'm going to be knocking on doors for Bernie Sanders. You would say that's fine as long as it's not the general election. You're trying to get people off the.
So this year we have the gubernatorial election.
Right. A better example, by the way.
So right, exactly. There are
made up example.
6 people who've declared already seeking the Democratic nomination to be governor. Yeah. Our district leaders can support any one of those people that they want, or even somebody who hasn't declared their candidacy yet.
Okay, right. And then obviously during the general election, if one of your district leaders would say, I'm going to be knocking on doors for the Republican.
We would have to have a talk about them continuing to be a Democratic Party district leader.
Okay, so it's just politics.
Exactly. That's it.
So I've just moved to Maplewood. I've been here for 2 years. My name is John Smith, and I really want to get into New Jersey politics and make a difference. He would like to be considered. What would he do to be on the township committee? What would he need to do?
Yep. So I would suggest that he reach out to me directly at iangrodman@gmail.com.
Okay.
Or at hello@maplewooddemocrats.com.
Okay.
I would talk to him about the position, what it entails, because a lot of times people who are newer don't know everything about what it entails. Mm-hmm. If he would like to be endorsed by the committee, I would ask him to send me a letter of interest explaining why, what his experience is working for the public, and a resume. We would then we're going to have a public meeting in late March, where all of the candidates can be interviewed by all of the members of the Democratic Committee. We invite the public to come to that meeting. Yep. Then a week later, the Maplewood Democratic Committee will meet again to vote on who we're going to endorse.
Gotcha. Okay.
But even if he's not endorsed, he could still run.
He can still run, and he could run as a Democrat.
Absolutely.
It's not like an independent. Because it's funny, when I ran, people forget when they remember I ran in the primary and I lost. So people say to me, Lee, you ran as a Republican. I said, no, I was a Democrat, and then they forget I didn't run in the general election. Ran in the primary, but I did run as a Democrat.
Yep.
Just didn't have the endorsement, and I lost by like 10,000 votes or
All
something.
right, but you got several hundred votes.
No,
you
I
know,
did.
that was-
Actually, I think I got 400 votes. I think Vic in India got about 1,000 votes or 1,100 votes.
So that's respectable for somebody who was brand new.
Yeah, but I often say Vic was in office for 21 years at that point or something. So I said I was in it for 2 weeks. He's in it for 20 years. So if
There
you
we
do
go.
the math, if I'd been for 20 years, I would have had like
It
9
was
million
a very
votes.
respectable showing. Absolutely.
I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not even sure my wife voted for me actually. but you know what? I do. For those that are listening and are interested in getting into politics, it was something I look back on fondly. I knocked on plenty of doors. I met plenty of people. You hear real stories. You hear real stories
Absolutely.
about to me, at first, it would be fun. I'm going to teach Vic a lesson and Jerry Ryan, how dare he? And you knock on a door and she says, I'm about to lose my mortgage. I'm about to lose the house. The taxes. What can you do for me? If I vote for you, do you promise me? And, you say, geez, I wish I could promise you that. But
You can't promise anything. But
Right.
but the thing is, serving in elected office is, people say it's a noble cause, and I do believe that.
Yes.
You really can have an impact on improving people's lives, improving your community. And it's really a very worthwhile thing to pursue. And like you said, knocking on door to door, you hear what's important to people. You understand what people are really concerned about and really care about.
And that's when I took it a little more seriously.
Right.
At first it was just kind of, like a popularity contest. I'll get on township committee. I'll get invited to
It's
parties.
that too. Yes. Yeah.
But, then I realized I actually need to be very serious and focused about this. Now, you were vice mayor
Correct.
of Maplewood. So that's how you kind of got your foot into politics in New Jersey.
So I got my foot into politics in a slightly different way than you. I was very involved in the community. I was very active in the College Hill Neighborhood Association. At that time, I was on the Township Affordable Housing Committee. And Fred Profeta asked me to run with him when he first ran for Township Committee. Mm-hmm. That's how I got involved. Became a Democratic Party district leader. Several years later, became the chair of the party. I served one term on the Township Committee. I was in a primary with Fred Profeta and Vic DeLuca, and I lost in that primary by 6 votes. I was actually very proud of the fact that I only lost by 6 votes to Vic DeLuca and Fred Profeta.
2 seats, three candidates.
Correct.
Yes.
Correct. Who I think are 2 of the most extraordinary public servants this town has ever had.
Absolutely. And Vic, I remember that Vic had run with the bullet vote. Was that what?
There was
what's that called?
There was a campaign that was just vote Vic.
Right. Yeah.
Yes. I won't forget about that.
Right.
But Vic and I are great friends, and I have tremendous respect for Vic, and I always have.
You know what? At the end of the day, politics is like any other sport. You have to figure out a way to win.
Yep.
And it's obviously winning is one thing. Doing the work and winning again and winning again and winning again.
That's it.
That's what
you make difficult decisions that piss people off, and a lot of people remember what they consider to be the bad rather than all the good that's been done. And we saw that this past year in the presidential election.
Right, yeah, exactly right. It comes right. Talking about the presidential election. So yesterday we saw Trump. He's back. That was yesterday. Was
coronated.
Was Monday? Was coronated. Right. Now you're an immigration attorney. I know that.
Some of my practice is doing immigration law.
Right, along with talk a little about Ian Grodman, the lawyer. Let's talk about that and then talk about Trump.
Yep.
Okay.
So I actually I do some immigration work. I used to do considerably more. Most of my work as an attorney now is as a mediator. Mm-hmm. For the most part, working with people who are going through divorce or post-divorce issues, but I work with all family-related issues, small businesses, small family-owned businesses. That's most of the work that I do now as an attorney.
No, you wrote my will, and we wrote my wife's will.
True. That's true. I can't say that. You can say that.
Yes, it was.
People go up to my wife all the time and say, like, "Did Ian tell you that we came to see him about like a legal issue?" And she's like, "No, he takes it very seriously. He's not allowed to talk to anybody."
Right. That oath. That's it. Client
That's
privilege, client attorney confidentiality.
So you're the one who talked about the wills, not me.
Right. Yeah. So far so good.
Good.
So my son, relax. You get it all. And
that's it. He's in good shape.
He's in good shape.
Yeah.
Right. Especially this podcast takes off. And I make millions of dollars.
That's it.
Right?
When your big sponsors come in.
That's right. When the big sponsors come in.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
But as an immigration attorney, and I'm not getting personal. I know you adopted your son, Carlos.
Correct. He was born in Guatemala.
He's born. So this is something that's very interesting to you. Now, obviously, Trump is in there, and one of the first things he says is, border immigration, illegal immigration, and birthright. And what are your thoughts on all that?
So I have a lot of thoughts about that. First of all, I think that there are so many misconceptions for people in the United States regarding people who are here and who probably more often than not came into the country without legal status. The first thing that I would say is most of these people are doing the jobs that most people who were born and raised in the United States are completely not interested in doing. They're not stealing jobs from people. More often than not, they're paying taxes. They're not reaping the benefits that paying taxes gives you. And that's just, I think, very importantly, the economy of the United States really depends upon all of these people to keep our economy running. The second thing that I think is very important, and this is from a legal perspective, is the Constitution of the United States for the last 160 some odd years has said anybody born on United States soil is a United States citizen. Trump is talking about trying to change that and take that away. He cannot do it with an executive order. It's got to be done by an amendment to the Constitution. I hope that the people of this country are smart enough to realize what a big mistake that would be.
Sure. I mean, you're born here. That was always the understanding. You're an American.
That's
right. You're born in the United States, and that's a given right.
That's right. And that came about at the end of the Civil War when slaves were freed, right? Like slaves did not have any kind of rights up until that point. And so one of the first things that the Congress did at that point was to make sure that these people who born here and lived here all of their lives are going to be recognized as United States citizens.
Right. So, it's so a Republican friend of mine might say, well, this is a way to keep families together because the parents are illegal and they weren't supposed to be here in the first place, and this gives them the right to take their child home without another family member who's lives in the United States and is an American citizen or whatnot.
Right.
What are your thoughts on on someone who might make that argument?
Yeah, there used to be people who used to talk about anchor babies, saying that a woman could cross the border at 8 months pregnant, have a child here, and become a U.S. citizen. So let me tell you how that works, right? That child would be a U.S. citizen immediately. However, that child could not apply for his mother or any parent to become a permanent resident, not a citizen, a permanent resident, until they were 21 years old. So for 21 years, that woman or that parent is going to be in the United States without any kind of legal status, still not able to collect any benefits for herself. It's just a complete misconception. So the child would have to turn 21 years old. The child could then apply for their mother to become a permanent resident or green card holder. But that process also takes 2-3 years before that would go through. And then it would be 5 years after that before that person could become a United States citizen. So anybody who makes the claim that people are coming into the United States and having babies just to become a United States citizen, I mean, it's completely ridiculous because it's going to be close to 30 years before that can happen.
Before that happens. So even if there's a misconception that they think they can, it's just not. Yeah.
They won't. And most of these people know that they're not going to be able to become a United States citizen.
Yeah, I would think, if you walked thousands or hundreds and miles and that you at least understood what you were
escaping extreme of poverty and violence and.
Yeah, there's no misconception. Not that, but it's a real thing. With border, I mean, Trump won this election, I think, because of inflation, because of the border. I think those are the two areas where Americans now, in my mind, I believe there's too much influx of illegal immigrants coming in. But
what's the problem with that? Tell me what the problem is.
The Trump will tell you it's crime. Trump will tell you it's drugs. Trump will tell you, I'm not necessarily disbeliever of that, but terrorists perhaps getting into the country, people coming in, with not coming here to get jobs and to live honest lives. I believe that there's that. I believe that in all walks of life. But obviously, this is your expert. Now, I know you're not, as an immigration attorney.
Right.
What would you say if Trump said to you, okay, look, I got to secure the border. We've got to do a better job. Too much influence. Mr. Attorney, Ian Grobin, what would you do?
So I would say that you've got to improve the immigration system to create pathways for these people to come to the United States. We used to have in the United States opportunities for people to come as temporary workers, to work, again, in jobs that no Americans are going to do.
Yeah.
That system has fallen apart. The entire immigration system has fallen apart. When I started doing immigration work, we would apply for green cards for people, permanent residency for people. People would be able to get their green cards sometimes in 6, 7, 8 months. Now it takes years. The entire system is a mess. What the money should be used for is to correct that system, right? If people believe that there are people storming the border and coming into the United States and taking advantage of the United States, which is not the case, fine. You could do something about that. But what you really need to do is fix the immigration system, United States citizenship and immigration services here in the United States, and make it work better.
Yeah, I'm mixed on. First off, I see a hardworking person, doing work that I would never want to do.
Almost all of these people are.
And, and you see, there's a human being is bussing at the restaurant, or, he's sweeping the sidewalk, or, he's
mowing your lawn, taking care of your babies, taking care of your elderly parents.
All these jobs. And you see, these are human beings, hardworking human beings who just need an opportunity, need a chance.
Yep.
They weren't born in the United States with a silver spoon.
Correct.
Which I'm not saying all Americans are, but quite a few of us have had an easier path to living the dream of doing a podcast with me.
Yeah. There you go. That's me. Grandchild of immigrants doing a podcast with Lee Navlin.
That's right. Yeah. And I heard from my great grandfather and my grandfather, what it was like when he grew up on the Lower East Side, with selling newspapers on the subway, and he dropping out in the 8th grade because he had no choice.
Yep.
And I went to college. I mean,
exactly. Same here.
I understand but then again, I understand someone who says, hey, I've seen crime. I live in Arizona. I live in Texas. I'm seeing an influx of illegal immigrants. It's scary to us. Well,
I mean, I think more often than not, it's scary because people look different or sound different than them, right? If you look at statistics, there's a lower level of crime among immigrants than there are native-born Americans. I mean, yes, the one thing that Trump did yesterday that I could maybe be somewhat comfortable with is declaring that drug cartels are terrorist organizations. Yeah, right. That's the only thing that I can be somewhat comfortable with.
Yeah,
that's
that's more important, right? Actually, because if at the end of the day, if you could stop the influx of drugs, I mean, I would imagine that's you could say, hey, victory at the border,
right? But those drugs are coming into the United States, whether they are coming with people who are staying in the United States or not.
Yeah, no, the people do drugs. They're going to get.
That's right.
They're going to get their drugs.
Yep. It's a lucrative business.
So here's how I've been politically, Ian. So I'm a Democrat, registered as you know. I was concerned about Biden's mental acuity. I saw.
You're not the only one.
Right. I saw what I saw. You know, and the stumbling and the falling and not being able to finish sentences. And as somebody who was a former Fox News producer and very much in the political arena, not answering reporter questions,
right,
ate me alive.
Same here.
What bothered me was him running again. I felt the Democrats backed off and let him until it was too late. The debate was the final draw. And then I got equally bothered when Harris, and I guess really there was no choice because it was so late in the game.
There was very little choice at that point.
You couldn't have a limited primary at that point. We didn't have options. I didn't think she was a strong candidate. I thought she was an unpopular vice president. I was, while I voted for her, I kind of did it with like, well, I wish the Republicans had Mitt Romney. I don't know. I'm just throwing names out there.
Sure.
That I might have said, let me think for a second.
Right.
So, he wins, down, but she didn't win. I'm not totally down. And I'm melancholy. okay, I'm a Jew. I see these hostages come out of the 3 hostages released. Thank God. And it looks like maybe Hamas is on the balls of the balls of their ass. You know, and hopefully Trump coming in. They're scared of him. I don't care if it's Biden or Trump. I just want Hamas defeated. I want these people out safely. I'm feeling good about it. Feeling good if Trump comes in, I'm like, hey, maybe, I don't know, maybe he gets it internationally, maybe some better things ahead for Israel and for the American people. And then, of course, Musk gets up there, and that was a Nazi salute.
Yes, it was.
And that was it. And so
he did it twice.
I went from like this peak of like, I'm feeling okay, to like, bam, like, here we are.
Yep.
Here we are. Yeah, my grandfather warned me.
That's right.
He warned me. So what are your thoughts on what the hell's going on right now? What was that with Musk? What the hell was going on here?
I don't understand the whole thing with Musk at all, except for the fact that he is helping Trump to build his base. I think for Trump, I think that Nazi salute, for instance, I mean, it's great. It's going to get the MAGA folks all riled up, all excited that he's on their side. But in the meantime, what's going on is Musk and Bezos and now the chair of TikTok are all sitting in the White House working closely with Donald Trump, and all of them are benefiting. Donald Trump issued or put forth his Bitcoin company on Friday.
Yeah.
Within 2 days, it's 89% of his wealth.
Yeah. Wow.
From people buying into that, $50 billion.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? So this is what it's all about.
Yeah. No, there certainly wasn't.
They're throwing red meat to MAGA, but they're really about making as much money as possible.
Yeah, sitting behind Trump wasn't a farmer with a pitchfork and a guy with a broom and all the blue collar guys, with the hard helmets. They weren't sitting behind him.
They were not. Absolutely.
That was right. It was Bezos with his wife with her spectacular set of tatas.
There we go.
And that was. But I'm looking on social media today, which is perhaps a mistake, and I'm seeing Trumpers. And Trumpers that I know, not the ones that are, going to burn down synagogues, but ones that are, blue collar guys or whatever, and they're defending. Musk.
Defending Musk.
And that was just what they call a Roman salute, or they're coming up with all sorts of cock and bull nonsense for it. But I don't know what Musk is thinking, other than he made a promise to some friends he would go up there and say hello, and
I don't know what he's thinking at all. I think he's enjoying. He's got financial power now. He's got political power now. I think he's just eating it all up.
Yeah, right. I could do what I want.
Yeah, exactly. I could do right.
I don't know if it was just because of the abuse he's taking, ever since buying, Twitter and X, and if it's just his way of the middle finger.
That's right.
But
it's just like Trump saying, I could shoot somebody stone cold dead on Fifth Avenue in New York, and everybody would love me. And Musk's doing the same thing.
Yeah. It was, but so that was me yesterday. I'm like, I'm all right. I'm okay. This is, I'm not gonna tell my but maybe it's not gonna be as bad as I thought. And bam,
right.
I'm down feeling about as low as you could feel. But Doge, what's your thoughts on now? In theory, as a department external to the government that looks to cut expenses, looks to cut costs. It makes sense in theory, but what?
Right.
But in reality, what are you thinking about that?
So in reality, to have people who are not in the president's cabinet or on the staff in the White House doing this work, I think is very problematic. I think also, again, going back to Musk, is that, how many billions of dollars at this point does Musk have in government contracts with the United States? And now he's going to be in the White House working right next to the president all the time.
Looking to cut costs. Other costs.
Looking to cut costs. Well,
other
meanwhile,
programs.
The president is saying yesterday, we're going to use manifest destiny to create colonies on Mars. And who do you think is going to get those government contracts?
Money off of
That's
that?
going to be Musk.
Yeah.
So I think that's very problematic.
Yeah. It certainly looks like big business is running
big business is.
running away, and the biggest of businesses.
Biden said this in the days before he finished up, is that we are becoming an oligarchy, and that's absolutely correct.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's here I am. I mean, I would love to be able to just come on here. No, Ian, you're wrong. Here's why. But I'm not seeing a
No.
here's wrong. Now I do when he. And, again, it's just semantics. But when he talked about an external revenue service, when I hear that, I'm like, that sounds like a good idea. An external revenue service where basically, we're done paying. Americans are done paying. Maybe we could get not the rest of the world to pay for us for things.
Right.
What are your thoughts on the external revenue?
Yeah,
Was it ERS?
The ERS. Yeah. I mean, if Trump is great at something, it is coming up with these cute little catchphrases that get people all excited, get people energized to go along with what he's saying.
It's a catchphrase. Yeah.
We talk about, or he talks about, making America great. The reason that America is great is not because we say we're great. The reason that America is great is because we do have a great economy. We have provided support and assistance to democracies all over the world. Mm-hmm. We have supplied resources and support for people all over the world who've been through terrible tragedies. That's the reason that we do it. And you know what? That costs money. But if we have more money than any other country in the world, that's how we maintain our, if you want to call it, supremacy in the world, is by doing that, not just by going to other places in the world and taking territory from them and saying that we're the best.
Yeah. No. I fully understand where you're coming from. So here we are. So we have Trump. He's in office for the next 4 years, unless, J.D. Vance becomes president.
Which could be worse.
So here's what I'm seeing with the Republican Party. I'm seeing so many young faces, including the vice president, including perhaps the defense secretary, including the Department of Justice. These are all people in their 40s and 50s.
Yep.
And in Vance's case, I think he's not even 40 yet.
He's 40.
Yeah, this is a young generation of Republicans that are getting a lot of airtime, a lot of face time, and we know at the end of the day, you vote for who you know.
Right.
The American people generally do. I know that person. I'm going to vote for that person.
Right.
On the left, I look at Democrats, and I don't see you have the squad, and they're limited in their appeal because they're very specific on their agenda, I think. But you don't see that next generation of Democrat like you do on the right, and as a Democrat, that worries me. I say, gosh, who's running in 4 years? Who in the midterm elections? Who are these candidates that are going to take back Congress? And what are your thoughts on what's going on with the Democratic Party? Has Pelosi hung on too long? Did Schumer hang on too long? Are smart people on the left saying, I'm not getting into politics? This is the most ridiculous field I could get myself into. While on the right, they seem to be lining up around the block.
Right. Well, I think on some level you're right, but I think also that there are a lot more people than you might realize that are coming up in the Democratic ranks. Look right here in New Jersey, for instance, right? We've got Cory Booker, right? Andy Kim he's pretty amazing. He's sort of come from out of nowhere, but he's risen from, a 2 or 3 term congressman to becoming senator for New Jersey. We've got Mikey Sherrill, right here for our district in Maplewood. These are all people who are going to continue to rise in stature, I believe. People like Gavin Newsom, Gretchen Whitmer, people all over the country. The thing is, you mentioned earlier on that you thought when you first got involved in politics that politics was like a popularity contest, right?
Yeah.
And I think what Donald Trump has done, and a lot of the younger people in the Republican Party, is they are approaching this as a popularity contest, right? They're feeding people these lines, feeding people this, great soundbite that's going to get people interested and riled up and excited. What we really need to do is make sure that the people in this country are delving a little bit deeper into what's going on in the world and recognizing who the people are who are helping them, who the people are that are supporting them, right? And it's generally not the Republican Party.
No, I mean, look, the defense secretary, Pete
Hegseth.
Yes. He's
not defense secretary yet.
No, not yet. But, I would imagine that when Trump approached him, or he approached Trump more likely. But whatever the conversation was, they said, well, you were a soldier and you fought and God bless. But you're a TV star. That's all you are, and and then Trump would say, "Well, that's what I was. I was just a TV star."
That's
basically it. So there's your qualification. Can you get in front of a camera and sound impressive and impress the hell out of people that are just looking for TV stars?
That's it. They're looking for TV stars.
And we get back to the popularity contest. Argument, but. That's. I mean, again, I was Fox News senior producer of Fox News. I wasn't. Pete was there, I think, a little bit after I left.
You didn't cross paths.
I didn't. But I worked on Fox and Friends with Ainsley Earhart and the rest of and Brian Kilmeade and
I don't know who they are.
They were the week, Monday through Friday. They worked the show Monday through Friday.
Got it.
On the weekends, Pete was the weekend anchor, so he wasn't even in the.
He was just the fill-in.
He was a fill-in for the people I produced for.
Got it.
He was like their underling. And I loved Ainsley and I loved Brian and so forth, but I don't think they should be defense secretary either. So
right. I agree with you. Yep, absolutely.
He couldn't get their jobs.
Absolutely.
It's. It's. But I think. Trump is looking for yes men, and
absolutely.
But I do think there's also, we can take it lightly and say, well, this is just what he is. But this is a second term. The guy went into his first term not knowing what to expect in politics. He'd never done it before. He took in Washington insiders to be his secretary, to be the secretaries and to be his chief of staff.
Yep.
Took in a general, and I think like everything else. If we know Trump as a businessman, once they became too big for the bridges, in theory, he fired
they were
them.
out.
He learned what they learned. He had what they had, and they were out. And I think what we're seeing is now he doesn't want Washington insiders.
He doesn't.
He wants, because he'll make all the decisions.
That's right.
And maybe Elon Musk will help him make decisions because Musk has enough money to tell Trump what to do.
Right. And some of these people could be dangerous people, not understanding how government works, not understanding how policy works, not understanding how other foreign leaders work.
Yeah.
I mean, it's very dangerous for the country.
Yeah, I mean, you hope that they choose advisors that know the business.
I hope so.
Right, and say, hey,
I wouldn't count on it.
No, it's spooky times ahead, no doubt about it. Interesting times, to say the least. New Jersey. I think we're going to talk a lot about New Jersey politics on this podcast over the coming months.
Yeah.
We have the general elections in November, I guess.
Correct.
In Murphy.
November 4th. We have our primary June 10th.
June 10th. And we have currently, I believe there's 7 candidates that are, do I have that number right?
I thought it was 6.
Is it 6?
But maybe I haven't heard about a 7th one.
Well, I'm running. I don't know if you heard
that.
Yeah,
okay. So now we've got 7. Congratulations, Lee.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So last time I spoke to you about running for office, worked out so well for me.
I'm happy to give you advice again, anytime.
That's right. Yeah, don't run, Lee. You won't win. If you just said that last time,
there we go.
Right,
I would never say that to anybody. I think anybody who wants to run for office should.
Yeah. Governor's a tall order.
Yes, it's a big tall.
So we have the 6 candidates right now. What are your thoughts? Just ahead of now, I think obviously the Republicans have a little bit of a national stronghold. I guess in New Jersey, kind of a little more purple than we thought basing on the last elections.
It's not as blue as it once was.
Yeah, and we have so many Democrats now kind of beating each other up. You got the Newark's mayor, Jersey City's mayor.
Yeah. 2 Congress members.
2 Congress members.
Former state Senate president
Sweeney, right?
Former mayor of Montclair.
Right. So these are big players that wield big sticks, and they're not beating up Republicans. They're beating up each other.
They're beating up each other. That's part of the problem.
And then the Republicans have, I guess, Citarelli.
Citarelli and there's actually 2 other people. To be honest with you, I don't remember what their names are at this point.
But Citarelli, he nearly won.
Bramnick, I think, is
Bramnick. Okay, yep. But Citarelli nearly won a couple, right?
He came within 2 points of Murphy when Murphy ran for re-election.
Right, for the incumbent. So I mean, it's knocked off an incumbent. So now you've got them beating each other up, and then you might have So Jersey has Democrats they're gonna have their work cut out for them. These candidates.
Yes, they all have their work cut out for them in New Jersey, and it's always very difficult when there are 6 candidates because you don't know what's going to happen in the end. Somebody could end up being the nominee with 25% of the vote, right? And that's maybe not the best reflection of what people who are registered Democrats want.
Right, yeah. No, it's going to be it's going to be very interesting. Now, your thoughts on what are your thoughts on Ross Baraka? The Newark's mayor. I've met him a couple times. He just seems like a nice enough guy. I think he's done I think Newark has improved.
It's improved tremendously.
And your thoughts on him?
Well, I think Ross Baraka has done a fantastic job at bringing positive attention to the city of Newark, bringing development into Newark. I mean, most of the development has been focused downtown, but it is starting to spread out into the neighborhoods. He's been very effective at getting state aid into Newark. So, I mean, he's done a great job as the mayor of Newark.
Yeah, and we're Essex County, so that would you would imagine it would pay. But we also have Mikey Sherrill, who
who
has been a tremendous loyal.
Absolutely.
Maplewood to Maplewood and South Soma and South Orange.
Tremendous congressional representative for Maplewood and South Orange. She has done a terrific job, has been a leading voice on protecting women's rights to choose, has brought a lot of good things into the district. But really, she is a leader in Congress in talking about women's rights and women's rights to have autonomy over their bodies.
Yeah, right, and she's got a military record of
a Navy helicopter pilot. Yeah. She worked in the State Department on Russian affairs. She was the United States Attorney for the District of New Jersey. She's got fantastic experience.
Yeah, and not to pick on Murphy, I think he's been an effective governor, but he came from Goldman Sachs, right?
Goldman Sachs,
and nothing wrong with that.
We've had a couple of Goldman Sachs governors in New Jersey over the years, and senators.
My father wished I worked at Goldman Sachs.
I wish I worked at Goldman Sachs.
That's right. But she didn't come from Goldman Sachs. She was in the military. She'd fly helicopters.
Right.
Exactly. And she's a brilliant woman on top of it.
She is.
Yeah, I haven't met her. I know you.
She's got all those credentials, just like you said, and has done a great job in Congress.
Yeah, so she's someone to keep an eye on.
Yep.
And Jersey City, your thoughts on
Steve Fulop has done again. Steve Fulop has done a great job in Jersey City. He's an effective mayor.
A young guy too, right?
He's fairly young, in his 40s, I believe.
Yeah. Yeah, and they're all young, actually. So here I am, and I'm counting.
I guess Steve Sweeney is in his 60s, but he's the only one who is.
I'm surprised he's running. I kind of thought he was. I don't know. What are your thoughts on? Is he a serious candidate, or is it this was more or less just?
I think the thing that we need to keep an eye on, right?
Yeah.
If Steve Sweeney is somebody who you don't think would be a great governor, right? And I'm not saying that.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
If you've got 6 candidates running for governor, right? He's the only South Jersey person in the mix.
Yeah.
That could have an impact on what happens in this election.
Right. North Jersey is beating the hell out of each
other.
Yeah,
everybody's beating each other up, just like you said.
Yeah, and he kind of obviously is, and he's smooth enough. He's experienced enough to know an opportunity.
He's very experienced. He's a smart politician.
Yeah. No. So Ian, this has been fantastic. I think we're just about at the end of our time.
Good.
So
bad. I'm sorry. I mean, I had a great time, Lee.
For those listening, again, this was our first podcast, so this was kind of like call it the pilot podcast.
Okay, good. I like that.
So. This is what we're going to try and do. We're going to try and talk politics. We want to really talk about New Jersey politics over the coming months. We have the election coming up.
That sounds great.
We plan to have guests, right? We plan to have...
Absolutely.
So if you're interested in being a guest, reach out to us. If you're not interested in being a guest, reach out to us and tell us why.
Friends of mine who are elected officials out there, if you're listening to this, reach out to me if you'd like to be a guest. We'd love to have you.
And Ian, it's a beautiful studio, as you can tell.
It's incredible. I'm really, really impressed, Lee.
Right. So it's we're doing this right. We're doing this. We're doing this for you, New Jersey.
That's right.
For you.
We're not doing it for us. We're doing it for you.
That's right.
Yes.
So anyway, I'm Lee Navlin, Ian Grodman.
Okay, until
we meet again. Thank you very much. Have a great night.
Thank you.